Why didn't anyone answer the buzzer?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Doctor.
I rang and rang. Mrs. Simmons. Sound the gong, Wilson. That poor woman must not leave the grounds.
She's ready to get away, huh, Doc?
Her condition is serious. Go after her. Main gate. Henry. Dr. Sanderson. Allow no one out of the main gate. We're looking for a patient. Shouldn't have left her alone. No one answered the buzzer.
Wilson wasn't south, Doctor.
What have we available, Miss Kelly?
For 13 upper rest hours available, Doctor.
Have her sent there immediately. I'll prescribe preliminary treatment. Let's contact her brother. Dowd's in it. Elwood P. Dowd. Get him on the phone for me, Kelly.
But Doctor, the woman said it was for her brother.
Of course she did. It's the oldest Dowds in the world, always used by a cunning type of psychopath. She obviously knew her brother was coming out here to commit her, so she came out to discredit him. Get him on the phone for me, Kelly.
But Doctor, I thought the woman was all right, so I had Wilson take the brother to room number 24 at Southwind G. He's there now.
You had Wilson pick the brother up? No gags, please, Miss Kelly. You must be joking.
Oh, I did, Doctor. I did. I'm terribly sorry.
Well, if you're sorry, that fixes everything. No.
I'll do it, Doctor. I'll do it. Mrs. Dunphy, would you please unlock the door to room number 24, Southwind G? Give the man his clothes and...
Ask him to step down to the office right away.
Ask him to step down to the office right away. There's been a terrible mistake, and Dr. Sanderson wants to explain.
Explain? Apologize.
Thank you. I haven't put him in the hydrotub yet. She'll let him out.
Beautiful. And dumb, too. It's almost too good to be true.
Doctor, Judge Gaffney called and said they'd been here, and when they came... You don't have to be sarcastic!
Oh, don't I? Don't worry. We'll squirm out of it somehow.
Where are you going?
Talk to the chief. He may want to handle this himself.
Oh, no, Doctor. He'll die. He'll be furious, and he'll terminate me.
The responsibility's all mine, Miss Kelly.
Oh, no, Doctor. Tell him it was my fault.
I never mentioned your name, except in my sleep.
But this man, Dowd.
Don't let him get away.
But what should I do? What shall I say? He'll be furious.
Look, Kelly, he'll probably be fit to be tied, but he's a man, isn't he?
I guess so. His name is Mr.
So go into your routine. You know, the eyes, the swish, the works. I'm immune, but I've seen it work with some people. Some of the patients out here. Keep him here, Kelly. If you have to, do a striptease.
Oh, you're wonderful, Dr. Sanderson. You're just about the most wonderful person I've ever met in my life.
Yeah? Well, how about give me a lift here just the same?
What?
That's Simmons' dame.
Did you catch her?
Slick as a whistle. She was coming on a path, humming a little tune. I jumped out at her from behind a tree and said, "Sister, there's a man that wants to see you." Man, she heard her yell. She's wacky, all right.
Take her to room number 13, upper west side.
She's there now. I brought her into the diet kitchen. Man, she was screaming and kicking like hell. Tell you what, I'll hold her down if you come address her for me.
Just a minute, Wilson. Dr. Sanderson told me to wait till the brother comes in.
We'll make it snappy.
You're Mr. Dowd.
Elwood P. Let me give you one of my cards. If you should want to call me at this number. Don't call me at that one, because that's the old one.
Thank you.
Perfectly all right. If you happen to lose it, don't worry, my dear. I have plenty more.
Thank you. Would you have a seat, please, Mr. Dowd?
Thank you. I'll have to. Allow me.
Dr. Sanderson is very anxious to talk to you. Would you have a seat, please?
After you, my dear.
Oh, you mustn't mind me. I'm in and out all the time, and you see I can't.
After you.
Can I get you a magazine to look at?
I would much rather look at you, Miss Kelly. If you don't mind. You really are very lovely.
Oh, well, thank you. Some people don't seem to think so.
Some people are blind. That is often brought to my attention. And now, my dear, I would like to have you meet Mr. Dowd. Elwood P. Let me give you one of my compliments, if you should want to call me.
Mr. Dowd, I'm Dr. Lyman Sanderson, Dr. Chumley's assistant out here.
Well, good for you. I'm happy to know you. How are you, Doctor?
Well, that's going to depend on you, I'm afraid. Now, you be seated, please. You've met Miss Kelly, Mr. Dowd?
I've had that pleasure, and I want both of you to meet a very dear friend of
Later
mine.
on, be glad to. Now, you be seated, please. 'Cause first, I'd like to say...
After Miss Kelly.
Sit down, Kelly. Is that chair quite comfortable, Mr. Dowd?
Yes, thank you. Would you care to try?
No, thank you. How about an ashtray? Give Mr. Dowd an ashtray. Is it too warm in here for you, Mr. Dowd? Would you like me to turn on the fan?
Mr. Dowd, Dr. Sanderson would like to know if he should turn on a fan.
That's entirely up to him. I wouldn't presume to live his life for him.
Mr. Dowd, I can see you're not the type of person to be taken in by any high-flowing phrases or beating around the bush.
Is that so, Doctor?
You have us at a disadvantage here. You know it, we know it. Let's put the cards on the table.
That certainly appeals to me, Doctor.
Best way in the long run. People are people, no matter where you go.
That is very often the case.
And being human are therefore liable to mistakes. Miss Kelly and I have made a mistake on you this afternoon, and we'd like to explain it to you.
It wasn't Dr. Sanderson's fault, Mr. Dowd. It was mine.
A human failure, as I said.
I find it very interesting, nevertheless. You and Miss Kelly here this afternoon, you said?
We do hope you understand, Mr. Dowd.
Oh, yes. Yes, these things are often the basis of a long and warm friendship.
And the responsibilities, of course, not hers, but mine.
Your attitude may be old-fashioned, Doctor, but I like it.
Now, if I had seen your sister first, that would have been a completely different story.
Now there you surprise me. I think the world and all of Veta, but I had supposed she had seen her day.
You must not attach any blame to her. She's a very sick woman. She came in here insisting you were in need of treatment. That's perfectly ridiculous.
Veta shouldn't be upset about me. I get along fine.
Exactly. But she had already talked to Miss Kelly, and there had been a phone call from your family lawyer, Judge Gaffney.
Oh, yes. I know her. And know her husband, too. Nice people.
Is there something I can get for you, Mr. Dowd?
What did you have in mind?
A light. Let me give you a light. Now, your sister was extremely nervous and plunged right away into a heated tirade on your drinking.
That was Veta.
She became hysterical.
I tell Veta not to worry about that. I'll take care of that.
Exactly. Oh, I suppose you have a drink every now and then, just like the rest of us?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I would like one right now.
As a matter of fact, so would I. But your sister's reaction to the whole idea of drinking was entirely too intense. Does your sister drink, Mr. Dowd?
Oh, no, Doctor. No, I don't believe my sister has ever taken a drink.
Well, I'm going to surprise you. I think she has and does constantly.
That certainly surprises me.
But it's not going to be her alcoholism that's the basis for my diagnosis. It's when she began talking so emotionally about this big white rabbit, Harvey. Yes, I believe she called him Harvey.
Harvey's his name.
She claimed you were persecuting her with this Harvey.
I haven't been persecuting her with Harvey. And now, Doctor, I must insist, before we get any further,
Let me make my point first, Mr. Dowd. This trouble of your sister's didn't just spring up overnight. It stems from trauma.
From what?
Trauma, spelled T-R-A-U-M-A. It means shock. There's the birth trauma, the shock to the idea of being born.
That's the one we never get over.
You have a nice sense of humor, Mr. Dowd. Doesn't he, Miss Kelly?
Oh, yes, Doctor.
May I say the same about both of you?
To sum it all up, your sister's condition is serious, but I can help her. She must, however, remain out here temporarily.
I've always wanted Veta to have everything she needs.
Exactly.
But I wouldn't want Veta to stay out here, unless she liked it out here and wanted to stay here.
Of course. Did Wilson get what he went after, Miss Kelly?
Yes, Doctor.
What was Mrs. Simmons' reaction?
Oh, not unusual, Doctor.
Mr. Dowd, if this were an ordinary delusion, something reflected on the memory picture. In other words, if she had been seeing something she had seen once, that would be one thing. But it stands to reason nobody has ever seen a big white rabbit 6 feet tall.
Not very often, Doctor.
I like you, Dowd.
I like you too, Doctor. And Miss Kelly here. I like her too.
So, your sister must stay out here temporarily. Under these conditions, I'd commit my own grandmother.
Does your grandmother drink?
No, it's just an expression. Now, can I have you sign these temporary commitment forms as next of kin? Just a formality.
You better have Veta do that. She always does all the signing and managing for the family. She's good at it.
We can't disturb her now.
Perhaps I'd better talk it over with Judge Gaffney.
You can explain it all to her later. Tell her I advised it. Besides, it's not as if you couldn't stop in here anytime you make inquiries. Glad to have you. I'll make out a full visitor's pass. When would you like to come back? Wednesday, say? Friday, say?
You and Miss Kelly have been so pleasant. I can come back right after dinner, about an hour.
Well, I suppose it could work, but we're pretty busy around here.
Well, I really don't have to go now. I'm not very hungry.
Delighted to have you. But me and Miss Kelly have to get upstairs now. Plenty of work to be done. But I'll tell you what you might like to do.
What might I like to do?
We don't usually do this, but just to be sure in your mind that your sister's in the right hands. Why don't you take a look around here? You go out this doorway, take a right, past the stairway down the hall, you'll find the occupational therapy room, and beyond that, the conservatory, the library, and the diet kitchen.
Well, for Vita's sake, I believe I better do that, Doctor.
It's been a pleasure having this little chat with you, Mr. Dowd.
I've enjoyed it too, Doctor, meeting you and Miss Kelly.
And might I say that for a layman, you show an unusually acute perception in psychiatric cases.
Is that a fact? Well, I never thought I knew anything about it. Nobody does, do you think?
Well, the good psychiatrist isn't found under every bush.
You have to pick the right bush. Since we all seem to have enjoyed this so much, let us keep right on. I would like to invite you both to come with me now down to Charlie's and have a drink. When I enjoy people, I like to stay right with them.
Give us a rain check. Some other time. Be glad to.
When?
Well, couldn't say now. Miss Kelly and I don't go off work till 10 o'clock tonight.
Let us go to Charlie's at 10 o'clock tonight.
Well,
and you, Miss Kelly?
Dr. Chumley doesn't approve of members of the staff fraternizing. But since you've been so understanding, I suppose we can manage it.
I'll pick you up out here in a cab tonight at 10 o'clock. And we'll have a happy evening. I want you both to become friends with a very dear friend of mine. You said later on, so later on it will be. Goodbye now.